A man eating a bowl of oatmeal, a handful of edamame, and a glass of soy milk for breakfast is making what most people would call a healthy choice. What almost no one tells him is that he just consumed a combination of foods that, based on current endocrine research, may suppress his testosterone, spike his estrogen, and suppress his libido for the next several hours. And he is going to do it again tomorrow and the day after that. That is not a scare tactic. That is biochemistry. And by the end of this video, you will never look at your grocery cart the same way again. Welcome to the channel where we take the topics most doctors do not have time to fully explain, and we break them down completely, clearly, and without judgment. I am your AI-assisted medical educator, Dr.CandidAi, and today we are talking about something that affects tens of millions of men right now who have absolutely no idea it is happening to them. Before we get into it, if you are not subscribed yet, please do that right now. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. We release new science-based content for men every single week, and this series on hormonal health is one you genuinely do not want to miss. Now, here is something I want you to know before we go any further. We have put together a completely free 30-day testosterone rescue plan for men. It is a full guide, what foods to cut, what to add, a daily habit framework, a week-by-week action plan, and a hormone symptom tracker. It is built directly around everything we cover in this video. It is free. No email required. No purchases. All you need to do is comment the word free in the comment section at the end of this video, and we will get it to you as a free download. We will remind you again at the end, but I want you to know it exists right now so you have a reason to stay through to the close. All right, let us talk about the foods that are quietly doing serious damage to your hormonal health and the uncomfortable truth about why most men have been eating them every single day. Problem: how food controls your testosterone. Here is what most men do not understand about testosterone. It is not just a number on a blood test. It is a hormone that is produced, regulated, transported, and destroyed through a cascade of biochemical processes that are exquisitely sensitive to what you eat. The foods you consume influence the enzymes that convert testosterone to estrogen. They influence the proteins that bind testosterone and make it unavailable to your tissues. They influence the health of the Leydig cells in your testes that produce testosterone in the first place. And they influence the inflammation levels that suppress the entire hormonal axis. Between 1970 and today, average testosterone levels in American men have dropped by approximately 20 to 25%. That is not genetics. That has happened within 2 generations. Researchers point to 3 major environmental drivers: chemical exposure, chronic stress, and diet. And of those 3, diet is the one most completely within your control starting today. The mechanism most people do not understand is this: your body converts testosterone to estrogen through an enzyme called aromatase. Aromatase activity is increased dramatically by body fat, by sugar, by alcohol, by certain plant compounds, and by specific industrial food chemicals. When aromatase runs unchecked, you are literally converting your own testosterone into estrogen in real time. You are not just failing to produce testosterone, you are actively destroying what you have. Now let us go through the specific foods. Some of these are going to surprise you. Some are going to make you angry. All of them are backed by clinical research. The worst offending foods. Offender 1. Soy and soy-based products. Soy contains compounds called phytoestrogens, specifically isoflavones like genistein and didzane, that structurally mimic estrogen in the human body. They bind to estrogen receptors in your tissues, including in your testes and your pituitary gland, and they can interfere with the feedback loop that signals your body to produce testosterone. A 2021 meta-analysis published in Reproductive Toxicology reviewing 41 studies found that high soy isoflavone intake was associated with significant reductions in total and free testosterone in men. High soy means more than 2 to 3 servings per day. But the issue is that soy is now hidden in an extraordinary number of processed foods. Protein bars, protein powders, veggie burgers, salad dressings, breads, processed meats, infant formula, cooking sprays. If you eat any amount of processed food daily, you are almost certainly consuming soy in quantities you are not tracking. The clinical picture is made worse by the fact that many men over 40 who are trying to eat healthier are actively increasing their soy intake, switching to soy milk, eating edamame as a snack, adding tofu to stir fries. These are presented as heart-healthy choices. The hormonal cost is rarely mentioned. Offender 2. Sugar and high fructose corn syrup. This one should not be surprising, but the mechanism goes deeper than most people realize. Every time you consume sugar, whether from soda, candy, white bread, or fruit juice, you trigger an insulin spike. Elevated insulin directly suppresses a hormone called luteinizing hormone, which is the primary signal from your brain to your testes to produce testosterone. A study in clinical endocrinology found that a 75-gram glucose load, roughly the amount in a large soda, reduced testosterone levels in men by an average of 25% within 2 hours. 25%. From one drink. High fructose corn syrup, which is the primary sweetener in virtually every sweetened beverage and processed snack sold in American supermarkets, is metabolized primarily in the liver. Chronic high intake drives hepatic fat accumulation, which in turn drives aromatase activity. You gain visceral fat. The fat produces more aromatase. The aromatase converts more testosterone to estrogen. Testosterone falls further. Visceral fat increases. It is a self-reinforcing hormonal death spiral, and it starts with sugar. Offender 3. Alcohol. Alcohol is one of the most potent testosterone suppressors known to endocrinology. It operates through multiple pathways simultaneously. First, it directly damages the Leydig cells in the testes. These are the cells that manufacture testosterone. Chronic alcohol consumption causes Leydig cell apoptosis, cell death, damage that does not fully reverse even with sobriety. Second, alcohol increases conversion of testosterone to estrogen via aromatase. Third, alcohol elevates cortisol, the stress hormone that is directly antagonistic to testosterone. Elevated cortisol suppresses the entire hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis. Fourth, alcohol disrupts sleep architecture, particularly the deep, slow-wave sleep stages in which 70% of your daily testosterone is produced. Even 2 drinks before bed have been shown in research to reduce testosterone-producing deep sleep by 20%. The association between moderate drinking and health is a lingering myth. For hormonal health in men, there is no safe floor. Even 3 to 5 drinks per week, sustained over years, produces measurable hormonal consequences. Offender 4. Vegetable and seed oils. Canola oil, soybean oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, cottonseed oil. These are the dominant cooking fats in processed food manufacturing and in most American restaurant kitchens. They are marketed as heart-healthy alternatives to saturated fat. The reality is far more nuanced and far more troubling for men's hormonal health. These oils are extraordinarily high in omega-6 polyunsaturated fatty acids, particularly linoleic acid. When consumed in the ratios present in the modern American diet, roughly 15 to 20 parts omega-6 to every 1 part omega-3, they drive systemic inflammation through the prostaglandin pathway, and chronic systemic inflammation suppresses testosterone production at the level of the hypothalamus, pituitary, and testes simultaneously. Furthermore, these oils are highly susceptible to oxidation. When heated for cooking, as they are in virtually every restaurant fryer, every packaged snack, every fast food item, they produce aldehydes and lipid peroxides that are directly toxic to testicular Leydig cells. The men most heavily exposed are those eating the most fried food, the most packaged snacks, and the most fast food. The demographic overlap with men suffering from low testosterone and low libido is not a coincidence. Offender 5. Processed carbohydrates and refined grains. White bread, white rice, pasta made from refined flour, breakfast cereals, crackers, chips. These foods behave identically to sugar once they enter your bloodstream. They spike blood glucose rapidly, drive insulin secretion, promote visceral fat accumulation, and suppress testosterone through every mechanism sugar does, because that is essentially what they become within 15 minutes of digestion. The glycemic load of a bowl of cornflakes is higher than that of a can of Coca-Cola. Most men over 40 who believe they eat a reasonably healthy diet are consuming 4 to 6 servings of refined carbohydrates per day without realizing it. Every one of those servings is a hormone event, not a nutrition event. Offender 6. Flaxseed in high doses. This one is counterintuitive because flaxseed is legitimately healthy in moderate amounts for fiber, omega-3s, and cardiovascular function. However, flaxseed is the single richest dietary source of lignans, a class of phytoestrogen in the human food supply. Lignans are converted by gut bacteria into enterolactone and enterodiol, which have estrogenic activity. Several case reports and controlled studies have linked high daily flaxseed consumption, 2 to 4 tablespoons or more per day, with measurable reductions in testosterone and sex hormone binding globulin changes that functionally lower free testosterone. The current evidence suggests 1 tablespoon per day is well within a safe range for most men. The men at risk are those adding multiple tablespoons to smoothies daily in the belief that more is always better. Offender 7. Mint. Spearmint, in particular. This is perhaps the most surprising entry on this list. Spearmint tea and spearmint oil contain compounds, carvone and limonene, that have demonstrated anti-androgenic properties in clinical research. A randomized controlled trial published in Phytotherapy Research found that women drinking 2 cups of spearmint tea daily showed significant reductions in free testosterone. Research in male rodents has shown testicular toxicity at high doses. While the human male data is limited, the mechanism is real. Spearmint inhibits enzymes involved in testosterone biosynthesis. For men who drink mint tea daily as a health habit, this is worth knowing. Offender 8. BPA-lined cans and plastic food packaging. This one is not exactly a food, but it comes with food, and it is impossible to separate from the diet discussion. Bisphenol A, or BPA, is a synthetic estrogen that leaches from plastic food containers, plastic water bottles, and the epoxy lining of canned foods into food and beverages. It is an endocrine disruptor. It binds to estrogen receptors with moderate affinity and has been shown in population studies to be associated with lower testosterone, lower sperm count, and decreased libido in men with higher urinary BPA concentrations. The FDA still permits BPA in many food contact applications. Virtually every man who regularly eats canned food or drinks from plastic bottles is exposed. BPA-free replacements often contain BPs or BPAF, structurally related compounds with similar endocrine disrupting profiles. RE hook, midpoint retention bridge. Now, I know that list is heavy, and I know some of you are looking at that and thinking that is basically everything I eat, and I understand that reaction completely. But here is what I need you to stay for, because the solution is not complicated, it is not expensive, and it does not require you to live like a monk. The research on what genuinely protects and restores testosterone in men is clear, practical, and implementable starting this week. Let us talk about it. Solution: what to eat instead to protect and rebuild your sex drive. Replace seed oils with saturated and monounsaturated fats. Your testes are made of cholesterol. Testosterone is synthesized from cholesterol. Men who eat low-fat diets have consistently lower testosterone levels in the research literature. Dietary fat is not the enemy. The wrong kind of fat is. Replace canola, soybean, and corn oil with extra virgin olive oil for cold applications and dressings, and with grass-fed butter or coconut oil for high-heat cooking. These fats do not oxidize the way seed oils do, they do not drive linoleic acid overload, and they provide the cholesterol precursors your Leydig cells need to function. Eat eggs, especially the yolks. The egg yolk contains the cholesterol, the vitamin D, the zinc, and the saturated fat that are the direct raw materials of testosterone synthesis. Epidemiological studies consistently show that men who eat 2 to 4 whole eggs per day have higher testosterone than those who eat none or eat only egg whites. The dietary cholesterol scare of the 1980s and 1990s has been thoroughly debunked. Eat the whole egg. Prioritize zinc-rich foods. Zinc is the single most important mineral for testosterone production. It is a required cofactor for the enzyme that converts cholesterol to testosterone inside Leydig cells. Zinc deficiency, which affects an estimated 12% of American men and up to 40% of men over 60, produces clinically significant testosterone suppression. The best dietary sources are oysters, by far the richest, grass-fed beef, lamb, pumpkin seeds, and dark meat chicken. If you are not eating these foods regularly, you are almost certainly not hitting adequate zinc intake for hormonal health. Get adequate vitamin D from food and sun. Vitamin D is technically a hormone precursor, not a vitamin. Vitamin D receptors are present on Leydig cells, and clinical trials have consistently shown that correcting vitamin D deficiency in men raises testosterone by 20 to 25%. The best dietary sources are wild-caught fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, sardines, and egg yolks. But food alone cannot maintain adequate vitamin D levels for most men in northern climates. 15 to 20 minutes of midday sun exposure on bare skin or a D3 supplement of 2,000 to 4,000 IU daily is often necessary. Eat cruciferous vegetables to lower estrogen. Broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, kale, and cabbage contain a compound called indole-3-carbinol, which your body converts to diindolylmethane, or DIM. DIM is a potent aromatase inhibitor. It literally blocks the conversion of testosterone to estrogen. Eating 2 to 3 servings of cruciferous vegetables daily is one of the most evidence-backed dietary strategies for maintaining a healthy testosterone to estrogen ratio in aging men. This is the natural version of what pharmaceutical aromatase inhibitors do, at a fraction of the dose and with no side effects. Prioritize sleep as a hormonal non-negotiable. This is technically not a food, but it belongs in this conversation because no dietary intervention will fully compensate for sleep deprivation. 70% of your daily testosterone is produced during deep sleep. 1 week of sleeping 5 hours per night reduces testosterone levels by 10 to 15% in healthy young men, according to research from the University of Chicago. For men over 40 or 50, the effect is magnified. Protecting your sleep 7 to 9 hours in a cool, dark room without alcohol, without screens, with consistent timing is the highest leverage single intervention for hormonal health available to you. It is also completely free. Your sex drive is not just a psychological phenomenon, it is a biological signal, and when it fades, your body is telling you something about your hormonal environment. The foods you eat every day are either building that environment or dismantling it. The research is clear on which direction the standard American diet moves men. And the research is equally clear that dietary changes produce measurable hormonal improvements within 2 to 8 weeks. You do not need to overhaul your life overnight. You need to start with the highest impact changes. Cut the seed oils, reduce the sugar and alcohol, add the eggs, the zinc-rich foods, the cruciferous vegetables, the healthy fats. Protect your sleep. Those 5 moves will produce more hormonal benefit than any supplement stack you can buy. Which brings me to what I promised you at the beginning. We have built a complete 30-day testosterone rescue plan specifically for men dealing with low sex drive and hormonal decline. It includes a full foods to cut list with explanations, a testosterone supportive meal framework, daily habit guidelines, a supplement guide based on clinical evidence, and a 4-week action calendar that takes everything from this video and turns it into something you can actually execute. It is completely free. No email address, no purchase required. All you need to do is go to the comments right now and type the word free. Just free. We will get the download link to you as quickly as we can. It is also linked in the description below. If this video was useful, and I hope it genuinely was, please share it with one man in your life who needs to hear this. The statistics on low testosterone and low libido in men are staggering, and most of those men have no idea their diet is a primary driver. That information gap is exactly what this channel exists to close. Subscribe if you have not already, hit the notification bell, and I will see you in the next video where we are going to cover the specific supplements that have the strongest clinical evidence for raising testosterone naturally in men over 40. That one is going to be equally important. Take care of your hormones. They are running more of your life than you realize.